Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know many of you use these videos to fall asleep. So before you drift off, I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. Stuck in the Sand. Harry's adventure began on a sunny afternoon when he decided to take his Class B motorhome for a weekend getaway at a picturesque beach. The allure of the ocean waves and the sound of seagulls beckoned him as he drove along the coastal road, eager to set up camp and enjoy the serenity of nature. However, little did he know that this trip would turn into a nightmare. The journey begins. As Harry approached the beach, he noticed several RVs parked at the entrance. Most of them were positioned on solid ground, but he felt adventurous and wanted to find a more secluded spot. Ignoring the warnings from fellow campers about the loose sand further down the beach, he drove deeper into the sandy area, convinced that he could find a perfect spot away from the crowd. Upon reaching a seemingly ideal location, Harry parked his RV and began to set up camp. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden hue over the beach, and he felt a sense of excitement. He unloaded his gear, set up his awning, and prepared for a relaxing evening by the shore. The trouble starts. As night fell, Harry settled into his RV with a book and some snacks, enjoying the soothing sounds of the ocean. However, as he glanced outside, he noticed that the tide was coming in faster than expected. He shrugged it off, thinking that he had parked far enough from the waterline. But as the hours passed, Harry began to worry. The sand around his RV felt softer than before. When he decided to move his vehicle slightly closer to the water for a better view of the waves, disaster struck. As he pressed on the gas pedal, his RV lurched forward, but then suddenly sank deeper into the sand. Panic set in as he realized that he was stuck, really stuck. Desperate measures. Harry tried everything he could think of to free his RV. He let air out of his tires to gain traction, as he had read online that this could help in sandy conditions. He dug around the tires with a shovel he had packed for emergencies and placed wooden boards under them in an attempt to create leverage. Unfortunately, nothing worked. Each time he tried to accelerate out of the sand, his motorhome only sank deeper. Feeling increasingly desperate as darkness enveloped him, Harry decided that he needed help. He grabbed his phone and attempted to call local tow services. However, due to their remote location and liability concerns about getting stuck themselves, none were willing to assist him. A call for help. With no other options left, Harry reached out to nearby campers through social media groups dedicated to RV enthusiasts. He posted about his predicament and hoped for a miracle. To his relief, within an hour, another family camping nearby saw his post and offered their assistance. They arrived with a truck equipped with recovery gear and chains, exactly what Harry needed. As they assessed the situation together under the moonlight, Harry felt a glimmer of hope. The rescuers explained their plan. They would attach their truck to Harry's motorhome and attempt to pull it out while he carefully accelerated at their signal. The rescue attempt. With everything in place, they began the rescue operation. The tension was palpable as everyone held their breath in anticipation. On three counts, 1, 2, 3, Harry pressed on the gas while the truck pulled with all its might. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly there was a loud crunching sound as Harry's RV started to move, with cheers erupting from both families. Harry's motorhome finally broke free from its sandy prison. It was an exhilarating moment filled with relief and camaraderie among fellow campers who had come together in a time of need. Reflections on fear and learning. After thanking his rescuers profusely and promising to pay it forward someday, Harry took a moment to reflect on what had just happened. The experience had been terrifying. Being stuck below the high water line made him acutely aware of how quickly situations could escalate when camping near water. He vowed never again to camp on a sandy beach without proper precautions or knowledge of tidal patterns. From that day forward, Harry made it a point to research camping locations thoroughly before arriving, especially those near beaches or loose terrain. A new approach to camping. In subsequent trips, Harry became an advocate for safe beach camping practices among fellow RVers. He shared tips on social media about checking tide schedules before parking near water and always scouting potential campsites on foot before driving onto them. He also emphasized packing essential tools such as tire chains and recovery gear in case of emergencies, a lesson learned through hard experience. His story became one of cautionary advice within RV communities. While adventure awaits in nature's beauty, preparedness is key to enjoying it safely. Conclusion. Harry's experience serves as a reminder that even seasoned campers can find themselves in precarious situations when they least expect it. While camping can be filled with joy and relaxation, it's crucial always to be aware of your surroundings and prepared for any challenges nature may throw your way. From that fateful trip onward, Harry's love for camping remained strong, but now it came with newfound wisdom that transformed how he approached each adventure into nature's embrace. Story 2. The Stormy Night. On a seemingly ordinary Friday afternoon, Sarah and Tom packed their RV for a weekend camping trip, eager to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. They were seasoned campers, having spent many weekends in their comfortable RV, exploring various national parks and campgrounds. However, this trip would prove to be unlike any other they had experienced. The calm before the storm, as they drove toward their destination, a quaint campground nestled near the coast, they noticed dark clouds gathering on the horizon. Initially, they brushed it off as typical weather for the area. After all, they had checked the forecast before leaving, and there were no warnings for severe weather. The couple arrived at the campground just as the first drops of rain began to fall, but they were undeterred. They set up their campsite and settled in for the evening. As night fell, the rain intensified, but Sarah and Tom remained cozy inside their RV, enjoying a movie and some snacks. They exchanged stories about their favorite camping trips while listening to the rhythmic patter of raindrops on the roof. However, as the hours passed, the gentle rain transformed into a torrential downpour. The storm hits. Suddenly, a loud crack of thunder shook the RV. followed by a flash of lightning that illuminated the darkened sky. The couple exchanged worried glances as they realized that what had started as a light rain was escalating into something far more dangerous. The wind began to pick up, rattling their RV and causing anxiety to creep in. Maybe we should check the weather again, Sarah suggested nervously. Tom nodded in agreement and reached for his phone. As he scrolled through updates, his heart sank. A tropical storm warning had been issued for their area, with forecasts predicting heavy winds and flash flooding. The couple knew they were in for a rough night, feeling vulnerable. As the storm raged outside, Sarah and Tom felt increasingly vulnerable in their RV. The wind howled like a freight train, shaking their home on wheels violently. They secured windows and doors, but could still hear the sound of branches snapping in the distance. Each gust of wind sent shivers down their spines as they clung to each other for comfort. "Do you think we should try to leave?" Tom asked hesitantly. "It might be too late now," Sarah replied, her voice trembling. "We could get stuck in flooding if we try to drive." They decided to stay put and ride out the storm together. As floodwaters began to rise around them, they could see water pooling outside their RV windows. The fear of being trapped set in. They felt helpless as nature unleashed its fury. The rising waters. As hours passed, the rain continued unabated. The sound of rushing water grew louder outside as it flowed through the campground like a river. Tom peered out of the window and saw that other campers were also struggling against the rising tide. Some were attempting to move their vehicles, but quickly abandoned ship as water engulfed their tires. "Look!" Sarah exclaimed, pointing outside. "That camper is getting swept away." Tom's heart raced as he watched another RV slowly float away from its spot, helpless against the force of nature. Panic gripped him as he realized how quickly things could go wrong. "We need to prepare for anything," he said urgently. "Let's gather our emergency supplies." They quickly moved into action, gathering flashlights, food supplies, water bottles, and blankets into a backpack. As they worked together in silence, fear loomed over them like an ominous cloud. A long night ahead. With everything packed up and ready by the door, they huddled together on the couch inside their RV as the storm raged on outside. The wind howled like a beast trying to break through their fragile shelter, while rain lashed against the sides with relentless fury. Hours felt like days as they listened to nature's chaotic symphony, the roar of thunder mingling with crashing waves and rattling metal from nearby structures being battered by wind gusts. They took turns checking updates on their phones, but found little solace. Conditions were worsening with each passing minute. "Do you think we'll be okay?" Sarah asked quietly. Tom wrapped his arms around her tightly. "We'll get through this together," he reassured her despite his own uncertainty. The break of dawn. As dawn approached, exhaustion began to take its toll on both of them. Just when they thought things couldn't get any worse, a loud crash echoed outside, followed by an eerie silence that hung heavily in the air. "What was that?" Sarah whispered fearfully. "I don't know," Tom replied cautiously as he peered out of the window again. What he saw left him breathless. A large tree had fallen just feet away from their RV, narrowly missing it but blocking off any exit routes from their campsite. "We're trapped," he muttered under his breath as panic surged within him once more. The aftermath. When daylight finally broke through the clouds after what felt like an eternity, Sarah and Tom emerged from their RV cautiously. The scene was surreal. Debris littered everywhere. Fallen branches scattered across campsites like confetti after a wild party. And floodwaters had receded but left behind muddy remnants of chaos. They surveyed their surroundings and noticed other campers emerging from their own RVs with expressions ranging from shock to relief at having survived such an ordeal. "Are you okay?" one neighbor called out from across the way. "Yeah, I think so," Tom replied shakily while checking on Sarah beside him. After assessing damages around them and confirming that everyone was safe, but shaken up by what had transpired overnight, they began discussing next steps together with fellow campers who had also weathered this stormy night. Lessons learned. The experience left an indelible mark on both Sarah and Tom's hearts. A reminder of nature's unpredictable power and how quickly situations can change when camping outdoors. They vowed never again to underestimate weather forecasts or ignore warnings about severe storms while traveling in an RV. From that day forward, they made it a point always to have an emergency plan ready before heading out on any camping trip, complete with supplies stocked up for potential storms or natural disasters that might arise unexpectedly during future adventures into nature's embrace. Conclusion. Though shaken by fear during that stormy night, filled with uncertainty about safety amid raging winds and rising waters surrounding them, the couple emerged stronger than ever before after facing one of nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Story 3. The Crouching Figure. The night was cool and crisp as a group of friends, Megan, Jake, Lisa, and Ryan, set up their campsite in Yellowstone National Park. They were excited for a weekend of hiking, exploring the stunning landscapes, and enjoying the great outdoors. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they gathered around a campfire, sharing stories and laughter, completely unaware of the chilling events that awaited them. Setting the scene, the campsite was nestled among towering pines, with the distant sound of a river flowing nearby. The friends had chosen a spot that felt secluded yet safe, surrounded by nature's beauty. They set up their tents and prepared a hearty dinner over the fire. As night fell, they roasted marshmallows and made s'mores, relishing the warmth of the fire against the cool evening air. After a few hours, they decided to call it a night. The group retreated to their individual tents, with Megan and Jake sharing one tent while Lisa and Ryan took another. The sounds of the forest enveloped them, a symphony of crickets chirping and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. The first signs. Around midnight, Megan was jolted awake by an unusual noise outside their tent. It sounded like something was moving through the underbrush. She nudged Jake awake. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Jake squinted in the darkness. "It's probably just an animal," he replied sleepily. Megan tried to shake off her unease and closed her eyes again, but sleep eluded her as the noises continued. Soft rustling followed by an eerie silence. She lay still, listening intently. Suddenly, she heard a faint sound that sent chills down her spine, the unmistakable sound of a zipper being pulled down. The crouching figure. Megan's heart raced as she turned to Jake once more. "I think someone is outside," she whispered urgently. Jake sat up straight, now fully alert. "What do you mean?" "I heard a zipper. Someone is trying to get into our tent." Megan's voice trembled with fear. Without thinking twice, Ryan and Lisa stirred from their tent upon hearing their frantic whispers. They quickly unzipped their tent and joined Megan and Jake inside theirs. "What's going on?" Ryan asked, his brow furrowed with concern. "I swear I heard someone unzip our tent," Megan said, her voice barely above a whisper. Just then, they all heard it again, the sound of fabric rustling outside, followed by the unmistakable sight of a shadowy figure crouching near their tent. It was difficult to make out details in the dim light filtering through the fabric of the tent, but they could see that it was indeed a person, or at least something humanoid, hunched down close to them. Panic sets in. Fear gripped them as they exchanged terrified glances. Jake reached for his phone to use as a flashlight but hesitated. He didn't want to alert whoever was outside. Instead, he quietly whispered to everyone to stay still and silent. As they watched in disbelief, the figure began to unzip their tent slowly and deliberately. The friends held their breath, paralyzed by fear. Just as it seemed the figure would enter their space, Ryan instinctively reached for his car, keys lying nearby. "Get ready," he whispered urgently. "On 3, we'll honk the horn." They counted silently together. 1 to 3. Ryan pressed the panic button on his key fob with trembling hands. The loud honk of the car alarm shattered the stillness of the night like thunderclaps echoing through the trees. The figure froze for a moment before standing upright and calmly walking away into the woods without looking back. Aftermath of fear. The friends remained silent for what felt like an eternity after the figure disappeared into darkness. Finally, Megan broke the silence with shaky breaths. "What just happened?" "I don't know," Jake replied, still trying to process what they had witnessed. "But we need to get out of here." They all scrambled out of their tents and huddled together near their RV under its dim light. The adrenaline coursed through them as they tried to make sense of what had just occurred. "Should we call someone?" Lisa suggested nervously. "Yeah," Ryan replied as he pulled out his phone to check for service. "We need to report this." After several attempts at calling park rangers yielded no response due to poor reception in that remote area, they decided it was best to stay close together until morning came. They sat in silence around their RV's lights, listening intently for any sounds from the woods while keeping watch over each other. A long night ahead. As hours dragged on into dawn, fear kept them wide awake. Every rustle in the bushes or snap of twigs made them jump in alarm. They shared stories about what could have happened if they hadn't honked their horn, or if they had been asleep when that figure approached them. I keep thinking about how close it was, Megan said softly, her eyes reflecting both fear and disbelief. Who would do something like that? Lisa added incredulously. I don't know, Jake replied grimly, but we need to pack up first thing in the morning. As daylight broke over Yellowstone National Park, illuminating their campsite with soft golden light, relief washed over them. But it was tinged with lingering anxiety about what had transpired during that terrifying night. The morning after, when morning finally arrived and sunlight streamed through trees overhead, they cautiously inspected their campsite for any signs of intrusion or disturbance, but found nothing amiss aside from their own shaken nerves. Packing up quickly became a priority. They wanted to leave before any lingering effects from last night could settle into something more permanent, a fear that would haunt them throughout their trip if they stayed longer than necessary. As they loaded up their RV with gear still trembling from adrenaline-fueled memories fresh in mind, their laughter now replaced by nervous chatter, they couldn't help but share glances filled with unspoken understanding about how close they had come to something truly frightening. Lessons learned. Once safely back on familiar roads heading homeward bound after leaving behind memories etched forever into minds, the experience became part cautionary tale shared amongst friends who vowed never again would they underestimate safety precautions while camping outdoors. They discussed how important it is always to stay vigilant when camping, especially at night, and how crucial it is not only to trust instincts but also take precautionary measures whenever possible against potential dangers lurking within nature's embrace. Conclusion. Though shaken by fear during that night, filled with uncertainty about safety amid shadows creeping closer than expected, the group emerged stronger than before after facing one of nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. From then on, every camping trip included thorough discussions about safety protocols, checking surroundings regularly before settling down at campsites, and ensuring everyone understood how vital it is always remain aware while enjoying nature's beauty without compromising personal safety. Story 4. Accident on the road. The Johnson family had been looking forward to their summer road trip for months. With their RV packed and ready, they set off from their home in Colorado, excited to explore the majestic landscapes of the Rocky Mountains and beyond. They had planned a route that included national parks, scenic byways, and plenty of opportunities for outdoor adventures. However, they were completely unprepared for the terrifying experience that awaited them on one fateful day. The journey begins. As they traveled through the winding mountain roads, the family enjoyed breathtaking views of towering peaks and lush valleys. The kids, Emily and Jake, were thrilled to be on the road, playing games and singing songs in the back seat while their parents, Mark and Lisa, shared stories about their own childhood camping trips. Everything felt perfect as they made their way toward their next destination, a popular campground known for its stunning scenery and hiking trails. However, as they approached a steep downhill curve, things began to take a turn. Mark was driving their heavy-duty truck, which was towing a large travel trailer filled with all their camping gear. He had experience driving in mountainous terrain, but knew that steep declines could be tricky, especially when towing. The sudden shutdown. As they navigated the curve, Mark noticed that the truck's engine began to sputter unexpectedly. The dashboard warning lights flickered ominously as he pressed down on the accelerator, but nothing happened. The truck was losing power fast. Panic surged through him. He knew they were heading downhill at a significant speed. "Lisa, I think we're losing power," Mark shouted as he struggled to maintain control of the vehicle. "What do you mean?" Lisa replied, her voice rising in alarm as she turned to see the worried look on Mark's face. Before he could respond, the engine completely shut down. The truck lost all acceleration and began to coast dangerously close to the edge of the road. The family was hurtling down the hill with no way to stop. A narrow escape. Mark's heart raced as he fought to steer the vehicle away from the edge. The travel trailer swayed behind them like a pendulum, threatening to tip over at any moment. In that instant, time seemed to slow down as he desperately searched for a way out of this nightmare. "Hold on," he yelled as he turned the steering wheel sharply to avoid a collision with a guardrail that loomed ahead. To make matters worse, an oncoming bull wagon appeared around the bend, a massive vehicle pulled by powerful horses, barreling toward them. Mark's instincts kicked in. He quickly veered off onto a gravel shoulder, just in time to avoid a catastrophic collision with both the bull wagon and the guardrail. The tires screeched against the gravel as they skidded sideways before finally coming to a halt just inches from a steep drop-off. The aftermath. The family sat in stunned silence for a moment, processing what had just happened. The adrenaline coursed through their veins as they took deep breaths to calm themselves. "Is everyone okay?" Lisa asked, her voice shaking as she looked at her children in the back seat. "I think so," Mark replied, still trying to regain his composure. "But we need to check on the trailer." They cautiously exited the truck and surveyed the situation. The travel trailer had remained upright, but was precariously close to tipping over on uneven ground. Mark felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him. They had narrowly escaped disaster. However, their relief quickly turned into concern when they realized that they were stranded on a remote stretch of road with no cell service and no immediate help in sight. Stranded and alone, with no other options available, Mark decided to assess what had gone wrong with the truck. He opened the hood and found smoke billowing out from under it, a sure sign of an overheated engine. "Great," he muttered under his breath. "Just what we need." Lisa tried calling for help again, but received no signal on her phone. Meanwhile, Emily and Jake clung together nervously, sensing their parents' anxiety. "Can we just go back home?" Jake asked quietly. Mark knelt down beside his son and put an arm around him. "I know this is scary, buddy, but we'll figure it out," he assured him. After checking everything he could think of, fluids, battery connections, Mark realized that they would need professional assistance to get back on the road safely. He decided it was best for him to walk back up the hill in search of help while Lisa stayed with the kids. A long walk for help, with determination in his heart. Mark set off on foot along the winding road back towards civilization. He walked for what felt like hours, his mind racing with thoughts of how close they had come to disaster and what could have happened if things had gone differently. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of walking, he spotted a small roadside diner nestled among trees at the top of a hill. Relief flooded over him as he hurried inside and explained their predicament to the staff. "We'll call someone right away," said an older gentleman behind the counter, who immediately picked up his phone while another employee offered Mark some water. Rescue arrives. Back at the RV, Lisa tried her best to keep Emily and Jake entertained while also remaining calm herself. She reassured them that Daddy would be back soon with help. However, every minute felt like an hour as they waited anxiously by their disabled vehicle. Eventually, after what felt like ages, Mark returned with a tow truck driver who agreed to help them out of their predicament. The driver assessed their situation carefully before getting to work hooking up their travel trailer safely, so it could be transported back up toward town where repairs could be made. As they watched from afar, while everything unfolded smoothly now that assistance had arrived, the Johnson family felt immense gratitude wash over them, knowing how fortunate they were not only for surviving, but also having someone come along when needed most. Lessons learned. After everything was sorted out, the truck repaired and ready again, they resumed their journey homeward bound, feeling shaken, yet grateful for another chance at life's adventures together. In hindsight, though, it became clear how important it is always prepared when traveling long distances, especially while towing heavy loads through mountainous terrain where unexpected challenges can arise at any moment. From then on, Mark made sure every trip included thorough checks before hitting roads, ensuring all systems were functioning properly, including brakes and fluids, along with researching routes ahead of time, just in case similar situations arose again. Conclusion. Though traumatized by fear during that harrowing experience, the Johnson family emerged stronger than before after facing one of nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Their story serves as both cautionary tale about safety precautions needed while traveling long distances, and reminder that sometimes even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. Story 5. The Abandoned Boat. The summer sun hung low in the sky as two brothers, Alex and Ben, set up their campsite on a secluded beach. The salty breeze filled the air, and the sound of waves crashing against the shore created a serene backdrop for their weekend getaway. They had been looking forward to this trip for weeks, eager to escape their busy lives and spend some quality time together in nature. A perfect evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The brothers lit a campfire and roasted marshmallows. They shared stories and laughter, reminiscing about their childhood adventures and planning future trips. The beach was quiet, with only a few other campers scattered along the shoreline. Once darkness enveloped the beach, they decided to take a stroll along the water's edge. The moonlight shimmered on the surface of the ocean, casting an ethereal glow over everything. As they walked, they noticed something unusual, a fishing boat drifting aimlessly close to their dock. "What's that boat doing out there?" Ben asked, squinting into the darkness. "I don't know," Alex replied. "It looks abandoned." The mysterious boat. Curiosity piqued. They approached the dock to get a better look at the boat. It was a small fishing vessel, bobbing gently in the water. The brothers exchanged glances, both feeling a sense of unease. They could see that there was no one on board, and it appeared to be empty. "Should we check it out?" Ben suggested hesitantly. "I don't know, it feels kind of creepy," Alex replied, glancing around as if expecting someone to jump out at them. Despite their apprehension, they decided to investigate further. They carefully climbed onto the dock and made their way toward the boat. As they got closer, they could see that it was indeed empty. No fishing gear or personal belongings in sight. "Maybe it's just lost or something," Ben said, trying to rationalize what they were seeing. "Yeah, or maybe someone abandoned it," Alex replied uneasily. A figure in the shadows. Just as they were about to turn back, a sudden movement caught their eye. From the darkness emerged a figure clad in a wetsuit. The brothers froze in shock as they watched the figure sprint past them without saying a word. The person dashed toward the boat and quickly climbed aboard. "What just happened?" Ben whispered, his heart racing. "I have no idea," Alex responded, his voice barely above a whisper. Before they could react further, the figure started up the boat's engine and revved it loudly. In an instant, the small fishing vessel sped away from the dock and into the open water, leaving only ripples behind. The brothers stood frozen in disbelief at what they had just witnessed. "Should we call someone?" Ben asked frantically. "Yeah, we need to report this," Alex replied as he fumbled for his phone. The aftermath. They hurried back to their campsite and called local authorities to report what they had seen. The operator on the other end took down their information, but seemed skeptical about their story. "Are you sure it wasn't just someone fishing late?" she asked. "No, this was different," Alex insisted. "There was no gear on that boat, and he ran past us like he was trying to escape." After hanging up, both brothers felt an unsettling mix of fear and adrenaline coursing through them. They tried to shake off what had happened by returning to their campfire, but found it difficult to concentrate on anything else. The night felt eerily quiet now. Even the sounds of waves crashing seemed distant. A disturbing discovery. The next morning arrived with an unsettling atmosphere hanging over them. They decided to explore more of the beach while waiting for authorities to arrive for follow-up questions about their sighting from last night. As they walked along the shore, they noticed something unusual. Footprints leading away from where they had seen the figure emerge from the darkness. "Look at these tracks," Ben said, pointing down at impressions left in the sand. "They lead right toward our campsite." Alex felt his stomach drop as he examined them closely. These were definitely not their footprints. They were larger and deeper than theirs could ever be. "What if that guy came here last night?" he whispered anxiously. "Let's get back to our stuff," Ben said nervously. As they hurried back towards their campsite, An uneasy feeling settled in. The brothers couldn't shake off an overwhelming sense of dread that hung over them like a thick fog. The shocking revelation. Later that day, after speaking with park rangers about what had happened during their camping trip, the brothers learned some disturbing news. Earlier that morning, just a few blocks away from where they were camping, a neighbor's cabin had been broken into. The rangers explained that several items had been stolen, including fishing gear similar to what might have been found on an abandoned boat like theirs. And there were reports of suspicious activity in nearby areas involving individuals wearing wetsuits. "This can't be a coincidence," Alex said incredulously as he exchanged worried glances with Ben. "No way, do you think that guy was involved?" Ben asked hesitantly. "It's possible," Alex replied grimly. "We need to get out of here." Leaving in fear, feeling increasingly uneasy about staying any longer at their campsite, the brothers quickly packed up their belongings while keeping watch for any signs of trouble nearby. Every rustle in bushes made them jump as adrenaline surged through them once again. Once everything was loaded into their vehicle, they drove away from that beach feeling relieved, but shaken by everything that transpired during those haunting hours spent there under moonlit skies filled with uncertainty. As they left behind memories etched forever into minds, the experience became part cautionary tale, shared amongst friends who vowed never again would they underestimate safety precautions while camping outdoors. Lessons learned. From then on, Alex and Ben made sure every trip included thorough discussions about safety protocols when exploring remote areas, ensuring everyone understood how vital it is always remain aware while enjoying nature's beauty without compromising personal safety, though shaken by fear during that harrowing experience. The brothers emerged stronger than before after facing one of nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Their story serves as both cautionary tale about vigilance needed while camping, and reminder that sometimes even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. Story 6. Highway Horror. The sun was just beginning to rise over the horizon as the Thompson family packed their RV for a long-awaited road trip. After months of planning, they were finally ready to explore the national parks of the West. With their 2 children, Mia and Ethan, excitedly buckled in, they set off from their home in California, eager for adventure and quality family time. A beautiful start. The first few hours of the journey went smoothly. The family sang along to their favorite songs, played games, and marveled at the breathtaking scenery as they drove through winding mountain roads. Mark and Lisa, the parents, felt a sense of freedom as they left behind their daily routines and embraced the open road. However, as they approached a busy stretch of highway, Lisa noticed that the traffic was getting heavier. Large semi-trucks dominated the lanes, and she felt a twinge of anxiety about sharing the road with such massive vehicles. "Just stay focused," Mark reassured her. "We'll be fine." As they merged onto the highway, they settled into a comfortable rhythm, maintaining a safe distance from the trucks while keeping an eye on their speed. The kids were entertained with snacks and games in the back seat, blissfully unaware of the dangers that lay ahead. The incident begins. About an hour into their drive on Interstate 5, Mark noticed a semi-truck approaching rapidly in his rearview mirror. The driver seemed impatient, weaving in and out of traffic as he closed in on their RV. Mark felt his heart rate increase as he realized that the truck was gaining on them quickly. "Stay steady," he said to Lisa, who was gripping her seat. "I'll let him pass." As the truck roared past them, Mark instinctively checked his mirrors to ensure there were no other vehicles nearby. Unfortunately, he misjudged his speed and distance from the truck's rear end. Suddenly, without warning, the semi-truck swerved into their lane. The driver had miscalculated his maneuver and pushed Mark's RV off the highway. The impact sent shockwaves through the vehicle as it swerved dangerously close to the edge of the road, struggling for control. "Mark!" Lisa screamed as she felt her stomach drop. Mark fought to regain control of the RV, gripping the steering wheel tightly as he struggled against the momentum pushing them toward a steep embankment. The kids cried out in fear from the back seat. "Hold on!" Mark shouted as he pressed down on the brakes while simultaneously steering away from the edge. The RV skidded sideways across the asphalt, tires screeching against pavement as it fought against gravity's pull. Time seemed to slow down for Mark as he desperately tried to keep his family safe. "Don't let go," he yelled to Lisa and the kids. In that moment of chaos, everything felt surreal. The world outside blurred into a mix of colors and sounds. Honking horns, screeching tires, and shouts from other drivers who witnessed what was happening. A close call. Just when it seemed like disaster was inevitable, luck intervened. The RV came to a halt mere inches from tumbling down the embankment. They were shaken but alive, heart rates racing and adrenaline coursing through their veins. "Is everyone okay?" Mark asked breathlessly as he turned around to check on Mia and Ethan. "I'm scared," Mia cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It's okay. We're safe now," Lisa reassured her daughter while trying to catch her breath. Mark took a moment to collect himself before stepping out of the RV to assess what had just happened. He could see that other drivers had pulled over to help. Several people rushed toward them with concerned expressions etched on their faces. The aftermath. As Mark stepped outside into the sunlight, he was met with a wave of relief mixed with anger. He spotted the semi-truck parked further down the highway. Its driver stood outside, looking shaken but unharmed. "What were you thinking?" Mark shouted at him as he approached. "You almost killed us." "I'm so sorry. I didn't see you." The truck driver replied defensively. "I thought I could make it past." Mark felt frustration boiling inside him, but took a deep breath instead. "You need to be more careful. These roads are dangerous enough without reckless driving." After exchanging information with witnesses and ensuring that everyone was all right, the Thompsons decided it was best to call for roadside assistance to check for any potential damage before continuing their journey. A lesson learned while waiting for help to arrive. Mark reflected on how quickly things could change on the road. One moment they were enjoying their trip together, and now they faced uncertainty about whether they would be able to continue or have to turn back home instead. Once roadside assistance arrived, they inspected both vehicles carefully before declaring them safe enough for travel again, but not without reminding everyone involved about how crucial it is always remain vigilant while driving, especially when sharing roads with larger vehicles like trucks. As they resumed their journey, albeit shaken by fear, the family vowed never again would they underestimate safety precautions while traveling long distances together. Conclusion: though traumatized by fear during that harrowing experience, the Thompson family emerged stronger than before after facing one of nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. From then on, Mark made sure every trip included thorough checks before hitting roads, ensuring all systems were functioning properly, including brakes and fluids, along with researching routes ahead of time, just in case similar situations arose again. Their story serves not only as cautionary tale about safety needed while traveling, but also a reminder that sometimes, even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. Story 7. Tornado Watch. The Johnson family had been looking forward to their camping trip in Mississippi for weeks. With the kids, Emma and Noah, excitedly packed into the RV, they set off for a weekend of fun in the great outdoors. They had chosen a beautiful campground nestled among tall pines and near a serene lake, perfect for fishing and hiking. However, as they drove deeper into Mississippi, ominous clouds began to gather on the horizon. The arrival. Upon arriving at the campground, the family was greeted by a warm breeze and the sound of birds chirping. They quickly set up their campsite, pitching their tent and arranging their gear. The atmosphere was cheerful as they prepared for a night filled with campfire stories and esmores. As evening approached, however, the weather took a sudden turn. While enjoying their dinner around the campfire, Mark, the father, checked his phone for updates. A notification popped up: tornado watch issued for their area. He felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he shared the news with Lisa, his wife. "Should we be worried?" Lisa asked, glancing at the darkening sky. "It's just a watch for now," Mark replied, trying to sound reassuring. "It means conditions are favorable for tornadoes. We should stay alert." The kids were blissfully unaware of the impending danger as they roasted marshmallows and laughed together. Mark and Lisa exchanged worried glances, but decided to keep the mood light for the sake of their children. As night falls, as darkness enveloped the campground, the wind began to pick up, rustling through the trees with an unsettling intensity. The family finished their campfire activities and retreated to their tent. Mark set up a small battery-powered radio inside to listen for weather updates while Lisa tucked the kids into their sleeping bags. "Do you think we'll be okay?" Emma asked sleepily. "Of course. We're just being cautious," Mark replied, trying to mask his own anxiety with a smile. As they settled in for the night, the wind howled outside like a distant freight train. The radio crackled with alerts about severe weather conditions approaching their area. Mark's heart raced as he listened intently to each announcement. Severe thunderstorms expected with high winds and possible tornadoes, the announcer warned. Seek shelter immediately if conditions worsen. The rising tension. The family lay in silence inside their tent, listening to the wind whip around them. Each gust felt like a reminder of nature's power, a force they were now fully aware of. Lisa reached over and squeezed Mark's hand tightly. "What do we do if a tornado actually comes?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "We'll head to the bathhouse," Mark replied firmly. "It's sturdy and has no windows. Much safer than this tent." But as time passed, anxiety filled the air like an electric charge. The wind continued to howl louder outside, rattling their tent and making it feel increasingly vulnerable against nature's wrath. "Dad," Noah called out quietly from his sleeping bag. "Yes, buddy," Mark replied softly. "Can we go home?" Noah asked innocently. Mark took a deep breath, trying to remain calm for his children. "We're safe here right now. Let's just wait it out." A night of fear. Hours dragged on as they listened to the radio updates becoming more urgent. The announcer warned that conditions were worsening rapidly across Mississippi. Tornadoes had already been reported in nearby counties. Each new report sent shivers down Mark's spine. Suddenly, a loud crack of thunder echoed through the night sky, followed by blinding flashes of lightning that illuminated their tent momentarily. The wind picked up even more ferociously now. It felt like a freight train was barreling toward them. "Everyone stay quiet," Mark instructed as he unzipped the tent flap slightly to peek outside. What he saw made his heart race. A dark wall of clouds swirling ominously above them. "Get ready," he shouted as he quickly zipped up the flap again and turned back to his family. "We need to move." Seeking shelter, Mark grabbed Emma and Noah while Lisa gathered essential items: flashlights, water bottles, and their emergency kit, before they hurried out of the tent into the stormy night. The wind whipped around them violently as they made their way toward the bathhouse located nearby. "Stay close," Mark yelled over the roar of wind and rain pounding against them. They reached the bathhouse just in time as hail began to pelt down around them like marbles bouncing off concrete. Inside was dimly lit but sturdy. Other campers had already gathered there too, faces filled with fear mirroring their own. As they huddled together inside that small space filled with anxious whispers and nervous laughter, Mark felt both grateful for being safe yet terrified of what could happen next. The waiting game. Minutes turned into what felt like hours as they waited anxiously for news about conditions outside. The storm raged on relentlessly. Thunder boomed overhead while rain poured down in torrents. Mark kept checking his phone, but struggled with poor reception amidst all this chaos. Hoping desperately that things would calm down soon enough so they could return safely back home without any further incidents occurring during this wild night. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from outside, followed by screams from other campers who had witnessed something terrifying unfold beyond those walls. "What was that?" Lisa gasped in horror while gripping her children tightly against her side. "I don't know," Mark replied nervously while peering through windows, trying desperately to see anything beyond those walls. But all he could make out were shadows dancing wildly under flashes of lightning illuminating everything around them momentarily before plunging back into darkness again. The calm after the storm. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the storm began to subside slowly as winds died down gradually, leaving behind only remnants of its fury scattered across ground outside. As dawn broke over Mississippi, the family emerged from shelter, cautiously surveying damage left behind by nature's wrathful display last night. Trees lay uprooted everywhere. Debris littered paths leading back toward campsites where tents once stood proud, now reduced mere piles fabric strewn across ground. Despite everything that transpired during those harrowing hours spent waiting anxiously inside Bathhouse, the Johnson family emerged stronger than ever before after facing one nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Lessons learned. From then on, Mark made sure every trip included thorough discussions about safety protocols when camping during inclement weather, ensuring everyone understood how vital it is always remain aware while enjoying nature's beauty without compromising personal safety, though shaken by fear during that harrowing experience. The family vowed never again would they underestimate warnings about severe weather conditions again while traveling outdoors. Their story serves not only cautionary tale about vigilance needed while camping, but also a reminder that sometimes even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. Story 8. The Unforeseen Blowout. The sun was just beginning to rise over the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow across the highway as the Thompson family set out on their long-awaited road trip. After weeks of planning and packing, they were finally on their way to the Grand Canyon, eager to explore one of nature's most breathtaking wonders. Mark and Lisa, along with their two children, Mia and Noah, were filled with excitement as they climbed into their RV, ready for adventure. A smooth start. The first few hours of the journey went smoothly. The kids were entertained with games and snacks, while Mark and Lisa enjoyed the scenic views of rolling hills and open fields. They made good time on the highway, and everything seemed perfect. The family sang along to their favorite songs, creating a joyful atmosphere inside the RV. As they drove deeper into Arizona, however, Mark noticed that the road began to change. The smooth asphalt gave way to stretches of rougher terrain, and he could feel the RV bouncing slightly as they hit potholes and uneven patches. He kept a close eye on the tires, knowing that they were crucial for a safe journey. "Everything okay back there?" He called out to Lisa, who was busy organizing snacks in the back. "Yeah, just trying to keep Noah from spilling his juice," she laughed. Mark smiled but felt a twinge of anxiety. He had always been diligent about maintaining their RV, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He decided to pull over at a rest area to stretch their legs and checked the tires before continuing. The blowout. After a quick break, they were back on the road. The highway stretched ahead of them like an endless ribbon, and Mark felt a renewed sense of confidence as he navigated through the landscape. However, just as they entered a more isolated stretch of highway, surrounded by desert scrub, disaster struck. Without warning, Mark heard a loud bang, a sound that echoed through the RV like a gunshot. The vehicle jolted violently as if it had hit a massive pothole. Panic surged through him as he instinctively gripped the steering wheel tighter. "What was that?" Lisa shouted from the back. "I think we just had a blowout," Mark replied, his heart racing as he struggled to maintain control of the RV. Inside, the vehicle chaos erupted. The sudden loss of stability sent items flying from countertops and shelves. Snacks scattered across the floor while pillows tumbled around like tumbleweeds in a windstorm. Mia and Noah screamed in surprise as their toys flew past them. "Hold on!" Mark yelled as he fought against the steering wheel, trying to guide the RV safely off the road while keeping it from swerving dangerously. Regaining control, Mark's instincts kicked in as he focused on getting them to safety. He eased off the accelerator and began to steer toward the shoulder of the highway. The RV continued to sway as it struggled against the uneven terrain beneath it. "Dad, what's happening?" Noah cried out, his voice filled with fear. "It's okay. Just hold on tight." Mark reassured him while glancing at Lisa, who was trying to calm Mia down in her seat. With every ounce of strength and concentration, Mark managed to guide the RV onto a flat area just off the road. He brought it to a stop with a sigh of relief that mingled with adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "We're okay. We're safe," he said firmly as he turned around to face his family. Lisa took a deep breath and nodded, though her eyes were wide with concern. "What do we do now?" Assessing the damage. Mark stepped outside to assess the damage while Lisa unbuckled herself and comforted Mia and Noah. The hot desert sun beat down on him as he walked around to inspect each tire carefully. It didn't take long for him to find what he feared. One of the rear tires had completely blown out, leaving it flat against the asphalt. "Great," he muttered under his breath, feeling frustration wash over him. "Just what we needed." He returned to the RV where Lisa was now trying to gather their scattered belongings. "We've got a flat tire," he informed her grimly. "Can you fix it?" she asked hopefully. "I can try," Mark replied, though he knew it wouldn't be easy without proper tools or assistance nearby. A helping hand, as Mark rummaged through their supplies for tools. He noticed another vehicle approaching from behind. A pickup truck pulling a trailer filled with camping gear slowed down beside them. The driver rolled down his window and called out, "Hey there, you folks need some help?" Mark felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him at this unexpected kindness. "Yes, we have a flat tire," he shouted back. The driver parked his truck and hopped out. An older man with a friendly smile approached them quickly. "I've got a jack and some tools in my truck," he said confidently. "Let me help you get this sorted out." With gratitude flooding over him, Mark welcomed this stranger's assistance wholeheartedly. Together they worked efficiently, while Lisa kept an eye on Mia and Noah, who were now playing quietly in their seats again. Mark felt grateful for having someone experienced by his side during this stressful moment. The tire change. With teamwork, the two men quickly removed the damaged tire and replaced it with a spare that had been stowed away in their RV's storage compartment. They chatted about camping trips past while working together, sharing stories about adventures taken along those winding roads filled with beauty yet unpredictability. In no time at all, the new tire was securely fastened, and Mark couldn't help but feel thankful for this stranger's generosity. "Thank you so much," Mark exclaimed sincerely once everything was done, shaking hands firmly before watching him climb back into his truck, ready to continue onward toward whatever destination lay ahead. "No problem at all. Just glad I could lend a hand," said the man before driving away, leaving behind warmth shared between fellow travelers navigating life's wildest adventures together. Back on track. Once everything was packed up again, the family took some time to regroup after such an unexpected ordeal, reflecting on how quickly things can change when traveling long distances, especially while towing heavy loads through mountainous terrain where unexpected challenges can arise at any moment. As they resumed their journey toward Grand Canyon, Mark made sure every trip included thorough checks before hitting roads, ensuring all systems were functioning properly, including brakes and fluids, along with researching routes ahead, just in case similar situations arose again. Though shaken by fear during that harrowing experience, the Thompson family emerged stronger than before after facing one nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Conclusion. Their story serves both cautionary tale about safety precautions needed while traveling long distances, and reminder that sometimes, even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. Story 9. The Wild Ride. The sun was shining brightly as Rachel and Tom set off on their long-awaited RV trip across the country. They had meticulously planned this adventure for months, excited to explore national parks, camp under the stars, and create lasting memories with their two young children, Lily and Max. With the RV packed to the brim with supplies and a sense of adventure in their hearts, the family hit the road, ready for an unforgettable journey. The journey begins. The first few days of their trip were filled with laughter and excitement. They visited stunning landscapes, hiked through lush forests, and enjoyed evenings around the campfire sharing stories. The children were thrilled to see wildlife and play in the great outdoors. Everything seemed perfect as they traveled along scenic highways, taking in the beauty of America's landscapes. However, as they approached a remote area known for its picturesque views, they encountered a series of raised railroad crossings. Rachel had read about the dangers of these crossings, but felt confident that they could navigate them safely. "Just remember to slow down when we approach," she reminded Tom as they drove. "I've got this," Tom replied with a smile, feeling relaxed and in control. The incident, as they approached one particularly raised railroad crossing, Tom noticed a slight incline ahead. He instinctively pressed the accelerator to maintain speed, but miscalculated the approach. The RV hit the crossing too fast, launching it into the air like a scene from an action movie. In that split second, everything changed. The family felt weightless as the RV soared over the tracks before crashing back down with a bone-jarring thud. Inside the vehicle, chaos erupted. Cooking utensils flew from cabinets. Toys scattered across the floor, and everyone screamed in shock. "Mom! Dad!" Lily cried out, her voice filled with fear. "Hold on tight," Tom shouted as he fought to regain control of the RV. Rachel's heart raced as she tried to gather her bearings amidst the chaos. She quickly checked on Max and Lily, who were both wide-eyed and frightened but unharmed. Regaining control, Tom wrestled with the steering wheel as he struggled to bring the RV back under control. The vehicle swerved dangerously close to the edge of the road before he managed to steady it again. They finally came to a stop on the shoulder of the highway, shaken but alive. "Is everyone okay?" Rachel asked breathlessly, her heart pounding in her chest. "I think so," Tom replied, still catching his breath. "What just happened?" "I don't know, but that was terrifying," Rachel exclaimed as she looked around at the mess inside the RV. Max began to cry while Lily clung to her mother's side, both children clearly shaken by the experience. "It felt like we were flying," Max said through his tears. "It was just a bump," Tom reassured them as he unbuckled himself and stepped outside to assess any damage. Assessing damage. Stepping out into the bright sunlight, Tom took a deep breath and surveyed their surroundings. The RV appeared intact aside from some minor scrapes on the side where it had brushed against vegetation during its wild ride. He felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had escaped what could have been a catastrophic accident. "Everything looks okay on this side," he called back into the RV, "but we need to check underneath." As he crouched down to inspect beneath the vehicle, Rachel joined him outside while keeping an eye on the kids who were still sitting inside. "Do you think we can keep going?" Rachel asked anxiously. Tom nodded slowly. "I think so, but we should take it easy for a while." The aftermath. After ensuring that there were no major issues with their RV, Tom climbed back inside, feeling grateful for their safety despite how close they had come to disaster. As they resumed their journey, this time at a much more cautious pace, the family couldn't help but laugh at how surreal everything felt. It was almost like something out of a comedy movie rather than reality. "Next time, let's make sure we slow down at those crossings," Rachel said with a chuckle despite still feeling rattled by what had just happened. Lily piped up from her seat. "Can we fly again?" "That was fun." Tom laughed nervously while shaking his head. "No more flying for us." A lesson learned as they continued down the road. Tom made sure every crossing was approached slowly. He remembered how quickly things could change when traveling long distances, especially while towing heavy loads through unfamiliar terrain where unexpected challenges can arise at any moment. After several hours on calmer roads, the family finally reached their intended destination, a beautiful campground nestled near a sparkling lake surrounded by towering trees. They set up camp together. Laughter echoed through woods as they roasted marshmallows over an open fire under starry skies filled with twinkling lights above. That night, after sharing stories around campfire, Rachel reflected on everything that had transpired earlier during trip. Though shaken by fear during that harrowing experience, they emerged stronger than ever before after facing one nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Conclusion. Their story serves both cautionary tale about safety precautions needed while traveling long distances, and reminder that sometimes even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. From then on, Tom made sure every trip included thorough checks before hitting roads, ensuring all systems were functioning properly, including brakes and fluids, along with researching routes ahead just in case similar situations arose again. Though shaken by fear during that wild ride, the Thompson family emerged stronger than before after facing one nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures. Story 10. The Creepy Campground. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the isolated campground nestled deep in the woods. It was a remote site, far from the bustling crowds of more popular parks, and that was exactly why the Anderson family had chosen it. They were looking for a peaceful escape from their busy lives, hoping to reconnect with nature and each other. Little did they know that their tranquil getaway would soon turn into a night of terror. Settling in, as they arrived at the campground, Sarah and David set to work unpacking their RV while their two children, Lily and Jake, eagerly explored the area. The campsite was surrounded by towering trees, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead. The family set up their tent, arranged their camping gear, and lit a fire to roast marshmallows as dusk began to settle in. "Look at how beautiful it is out here," Sarah exclaimed, taking in the serene surroundings. "It's perfect," David agreed, feeling relaxed as he watched Lily and Jake play tag around the campsite. As night fell, they gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and laughter. The sounds of nature enveloped them, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, and the occasional hoot of an owl. It felt like paradise. Strange noises. Later that evening, as they settled into their RV for the night, an unsettling quiet descended over the campground. The children were tucked into their sleeping bags while Sarah and David prepared for bed. Just as they were about to turn off the lights, they heard it, a faint rustling noise coming from outside. "What was that?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Probably just an animal," David replied dismissively. "We're in the woods. It's bound to happen." But as the minutes passed, the noises grew louder and more distinct. Footsteps crunching on leaves and twigs just outside their RV. Sarah's heart raced as she exchanged worried glances with David. "Maybe we should check it out," she suggested hesitantly. "I'll take a look," David said, trying to sound brave for his family. He grabbed a flashlight and cautiously opened the door. Peeking outside, stepping outside into the cool night air, David scanned the area with his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness but revealed nothing unusual, just shadows cast by trees swaying gently in the breeze. He took a deep breath and shook his head. "See? Nothing to worry about," he called back to Sarah. But just as he turned to head back inside, he caught sight of something moving at the edge of their campsite, a shadowy figure darting between trees. His heart dropped. "Sarah," he shouted urgently, "get inside." "What is it?" she asked in alarm as she quickly ushered Lily and Jake into the RV. "There's something out there," David replied, his voice tense with fear. He stepped back inside and locked the door behind him. Panic sets in as they huddled together inside the RV. Sarah felt a wave of panic wash over her. The rustling noises continued outside, now accompanied by low whispers that sent shivers down her spine. "Mommy, I'm scared." Jake whimpered from his sleeping bag. "It's okay, honey," Sarah reassured him while trying to keep her own fear at bay. "It's probably just some animals." But deep down, she knew that this didn't feel right. The whispers grew louder, sounding almost like voices conversing in hushed tones just beyond their walls. "What do you think they want?" Lily asked wide-eyed. David glanced at his wife before answering. "I don't know, but let's stay quiet for now." The shadowy figures. Suddenly, there was a loud thud against the side of the RV that made them all jump. David grabbed his flashlight again and peered out through a small window. What he saw made his blood run cold. Two shadowy figures moving around their campsite. "They're circling us," he whispered in horror. "Who are they?" Sarah asked fearfully as she clutched her children tightly. "I don't know," David replied, feeling helpless as he watched them move closer to their door. "But we need to pack up and leave." Without hesitation, they began gathering their belongings in a frenzy. Clothes were hastily shoved into bags while camping gear was tossed aside in their rush to escape whatever was lurking outside. A frantic escape as they scrambled to get everything together. The whispers turned into low laughter that echoed eerily through the night air. It felt like a scene from a horror movie, a nightmare come to life as shadows danced just beyond their reach. "Go, go, go," David urged as he finally managed to start up the RV engine while Sarah ushered Lily and Jake toward their seats. The engine sputtered for what felt like an eternity before roaring to life. David slammed it into gear and sped away from that terrifying campsite without looking back. As they drove away down the dark road, the laughter faded into silence behind them, but not before leaving an indelible mark on their memories forever etched into minds filled with fear. The aftermath. Once they reached safety, a well-lit gas station several miles away, they pulled over to catch their breath and process what had just happened. "I can't believe we just left everything behind," Sarah exclaimed incredulously while wiping tears from her eyes. "It was too dangerous to stay," David replied firmly, but felt guilt wash over him, knowing how much effort had gone into planning this trip only for it all to end so abruptly. "What were those people doing?" Lily asked quietly from her seat. still shaken by events unfolding earlier that night. "I don't know, sweetheart," David admitted honestly while wrapping an arm around her shoulders protectively. "But we're safe now." A lesson learned. After calming down, the family decided it would be best not to return home immediately, instead opting for another campground nearby where they could feel secure again. The experience served as both cautionary tale about safety needed when camping in isolated areas, and reminder that sometimes, even when things go wrong, there's always hope waiting around corner if you're willing to seek it out. From then on, Sarah made sure every trip included thorough discussions about safety protocols when camping outdoors, ensuring everyone understood how vital it is always remain aware while enjoying nature's beauty without compromising personal safety. Though shaken by fear during that harrowing experience, the Anderson family emerged stronger than before after facing one nature's fiercest challenges together hand in hand, while learning invaluable lessons along this journey through life's wildest adventures.